Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Another military story, guys. I lost my crap laughing at your socks having little creases in them, OP. I don't know who I love more, you for asking for your PT gear to be starched to hell and back, or the person who thought to put little tiny creases in your socks. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. To be fair, my uniform was wrinkled. Many years back, my unit was deployed to Iraq in support of OIF 3. This was at the height of the war, so the mission tempo was still very high. We were a transportation unit and the only heavy equipment transporter company in the area, so we were constantly pulling missions. At the time, I was the lowest ranking guy in the headquarters section, and since I was the computer guy, I was also doing commo, mostly configuring radios and things like that, for every mission. That meant that every time one of our convoys came in or left, I was there. Didn't matter the time, I was awake and ready. Since I was 50 cal qualified, sometimes I was out on the convoys as well. Point being, I was really busy. No days off, a couple hours of sleep a night, but that's part of the job. I didn't really mind. It was during one of my rare downtimes, after a 20-plus hour day, that I got a call over the radio to get down to the staging area. One of the gun trucks had lost its radio fill. It forgot its frequencies, and I needed to get down there to fix it. Sleep can wait. So I grabbed an ANCD, module used to load cryptographic keys into electronic encryption machines, and started off for the yard. Not 10 steps out the door, I bumped into our first sergeant. She was like most first sergeants, hard-charging, dedicated, motivated, but she was also fresh off a stint as drill sergeant. More specifically, she had been a drill sergeant. Then she went to teach at the Drill Sergeant Academy, then she became the first sergeant at the academy. Yeah. Given her very recent history, she was very by the book. I'm not knocking it, discipline and customs and courtesy is important, but we had a pretty strong focus on that for a combat environment, and my uniform was a bit wrinkled. "Hey, Private OP," she said, calling me over. I scurried. I was a private. I always scurried. "Yes, First Sergeant," standing up straight, hands behind my back. "Your uniform's wrinkled." I didn't mention that I'd spent the previous day getting our internet back up and running, which meant digging up some Cat5 cable, crawling around buildings to check connections, all to make sure our soldiers could enjoy their porn messages from home in the privacy of their hooches. I also didn't remind her that ironing wasn't really a high priority in such an environment, and most senior NCOs didn't bother with it at all. No excuses. "Yes, First Sergeant." "Next time I see you, I want your uniform crisp. Take it down to the laundry point. Have them iron it. Don't let me catch you with wrinkles again." "Hoo-ah, First Sergeant." In the Army, hoo-ah can mean a lot of different things. This one meant all of them. I scurried again, this time off to fill the radio. Still had a job to do, wrinkles or not. After that, and exactly as ordered, I brought all my uniforms to the laundry point to have them ironed. Generally speaking, we didn't use starch because it messed with the breathability of the fabric. In the desert heat, breathability is pretty important, but for one of my uniforms, the next one I would wear when I saw her again, I asked for starch, extra starch. I wanted creases so sharp you could cut yourself on them. It just so happened that the next time I saw her, I'd be wearing my PT uniform, except we wore those reflective belts as well. These soldiers are headed for disaster without those magical belts. In our unit, everyone did PT, physical training, morning exercise, together. It didn't matter what else you had going on. If you weren't sick, on mission, or otherwise excused, you were there with the rest of the company doing push-ups, sit-ups, and running around. If you were on duty, you changed into your PTs, did your time, or reported up why you had something more important to do, and then moved on with your day. The next time she saw me, just as directed, I was wrinkle-free and creased. I couldn't move all that well, but my shirt and shorts weren't going to lose their form, not for anything. They even worked little creases into my socks just for that final touch. My platoon sergeant thought I was nuts. Our warrant officer thought it was hilarious. The first sergeant thought I was being a smart butt. I think they were all right to varying degrees, but I made my point. I'm still not exactly sure what that point was, but I did what I was told. Lucky for me, I knew I had to go prepare some trucks for mission, so no PT for Private OP that day, but my scurry did have a little extra pep in it that morning. And our second story. My boss wondered why I quit my job for the possibility of another job. Just a little background. My husband, who was sole breadwinner while I went to school, lost his job, so I had to go look for work. I got a job working at a specialty apparel store right before Halloween. Now, I had some issues with the way the manager was running the store from the beginning, but money was money and we needed money, so I kept my mouth shut. One of the store policies was that whenever someone entered the store, we had to greet them within 30 seconds. Okay, that's doable, and I liked it when I shopped there, because part of greeting the customer was telling them about store-wide sales going on. We had a meeting not long after I started where the management explained that we needed to be asking the customers 3 times when they entered the store, when they're led into a dressing room, and at the register being rung up if they wanted a credit card. Now, that's not a major issue. My issue with this company is that they're hypocrites. They stated that the hours the employees are scheduled are not based on any hierarchy. They said that when we had a new hire meeting 2 weeks after I started. They then turned around and stated that almost within the same breath as the last statement that if they notice you getting a lot of credit card sign-ups, that you'll get more hours. I understand you want the best salespeople you can get. Honestly, I do. But when I try and spend a couple of minutes trying to make a customer happy, to try and ease into a credit card spiel, and get told that I need to move on, I was told that I spoke to a customer for 1 minute and 38 seconds, which is 1 minute and 8 seconds too long. Just to have the managers get antsy about whether or not I asked if the customer wanted to sign up for a credit card is ridiculous. So now I'm supposed to greet the customer, explain sales, and hound them for a credit card all within 30 seconds of walking into the store. Yeah, no. My strategy has always been, I've worked at a few places that required you to hawk their credit cards whenever possible, to ask when I see one of 2 things. 1, I see a customer with an arm or buggy load full of items, just as a heads up of discount opportunities. 2, when the customer's at the register and the total is increasing into the triple digits, as with 1 above, have the customer look at it as a discount instead of a dreaded credit card. I've gotten many a customer to sign up this way. Whenever I go shopping, especially when I would go into this particular store, I always like the more personal approach, i.e. having the sales associate actually try to help me rather than just mumble their spiel and disappearing. Now, above and beyond the credit card frustrations were the frustrations that there was no training, absolutely none. You were literally thrown out on the sales floor with no guidance and expected to know how things are run. We had headsets that we would wear so we could communicate without shouting in the store, but no one would ever respond to questions asked. I would literally have a customer asking me a question that I wouldn't know, and when I would ask over the headset, there would be silence. When there wasn't silence, it was chatter about the customers and their stupidity or making fun of them. There was no schedule to let you know where you would be, either apparel, lingerie, or cashiering, so you would come in, clock in, then wander around aimlessly trying to organize the clothes, just to be told an hour into your shift that they want you on the opposite side of the store. The managers were not cohesive when it came to how they ran the store. One manager would actually tell you things that you needed to know, store numbers and updates on what sales are going on, while another manager would just ignore you're even there, and the third one would just randomly announce this information over the headsets. When I was hired on, it was all ambiguous. My start date was not given. I found out while on the phone with the manager as she mumbled to herself while filling out my paperwork, nor was I given my first day's hours. I literally found out the day before my first shift, and that was after calling every day for 4 days trying to get my schedule. I was getting some serious hinky vibes, but as I stated above, money was money and I needed money, so I went against my gut. So suffice to say that when an opportunity came up, I paused long enough to let my husband know about the opportunity and then called the store and quit. I've not set foot in that store since I quit, nor any branch associated with them. I'd love your honest opinion, guys, on how many times is too many to ask the same customer about signing up for a credit card, as well as how long after walking into the store to wait until I barrage you with signing up for one. On a side note, my husband was luckily able to find work and we had to move, so I only worked at the store for a couple of weeks prior to having to quit. And our last story. HOA power couple gone rogue. So obviously there's a backstory, but this husband and wife duo dance themselves the royalty of our neighborhood. They're both on the board. The husband's always looking for ways to tell people how to live their life and is often untruthful in presentation of facts. We have short driveways and small garages. I drive a truck for work that doesn't fit in driveway or garage. We have an RV lot for cars that don't fit in the garage, RVs, or third cars. Ken and Karen have 2 kids who both park in the lot. Bylaws say only 1 per household. Back in November, my truck got totaled by somebody who decided stop signs were optional. My new truck arrived last Thursday. Texted HOA Ken that new truck had arrived and sent temp plate, registration, and insurance to the property management company. Received text from Ken saying that I couldn't park there until my application was approved. Told him that the car was coming home either way and that unless he wanted it parked hanging out onto the street, I had to park in the RV lot. Just received an email stating the board has rejected my application on the grounds that my household only has 2 cars and I must park my second car in the garage. Told them that wasn't possible and I'm waiting for a response. So we decided to just buy the cheapest, ugliest piece of rusty crap we could find and leave it parked in our driveway. Now we have 3 cars and can park our truck in the RV parking lot. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.